Nippon Hoso Podcast Station.
Today we are continuing with Needy Girl Overdose. できる限り同情を買おうとするから、心象膨大、ちょっとの不幸をめちゃくちゃ大げさに言ったりもするし。So in English, if you're not careful, they'll try to squeeze out as much sympathy as they can, turning the tiniest bit of bad luck into a huge sob story. どのくらいの人が気づいてた？でもだいぶもうオープニングで英語の発音が良すぎるって言われて、プラスなんかその英語バージョンも声優を伏せてたんですよ。でもなんか声が似すぎているし、これやってるのって天木サリーしかいないよねってなり。Anime English Club with Sally Amaki.Hello everyone and welcome to episode 64 of the Anime English Club. I'm your host, Sally Amaki. 今週もよろしくお願いします。Last week we were talking about Needy Girl Overdose and I can't believe I forgot to talk about ぴえん猫。これ、ぴえん猫 is a imaginary character, or not an imaginary character. Well, it's a stuffed animal that comes out in Needy Girl Overdose, but K Angel uses ぴえん猫 as like her imagination. In her imagination, ぴえん猫 is her significant other. So this stuffed animal has a very dark past. I also had the privilege to voice ぴえん猫 as well. はい、ぴえん猫も声やらせていただいてます。ぴえんつって。This started, I think, if I recall correctly,K Angel, Needy Girl Overdose, had a radio on her YouTube channel called 天使ラジオ or Angel Radio, and ぴえん猫 was one of her co-hosts, and we didn't have a voice for ぴえん猫, so Nerida-san was like, can you do it? Yeah, and I was like, I mean, yeah, sure, and we had like several patterns. But yeah, we tried like a deep voice, and then we also tried like a super high-pitched voice, and we tried like a normal cutesy voice, but the normal cutesy voice sounded too much like K Angel, so we were like, okay, we'll go with the high-pitched voice. So yeah, that's what happened. So if you guys were here from last week and was wondering what this pink cat was, it is ぴえん猫. So please look at Needy Girl Overdose. All right, anyway.Today we are continuing with Needy Girl Overdose. Needy Girl Overdose is based on a PC game originally conceived by Narita and produced by Why So Serious Playground, released in 2022. The game has sold over 3 million copies, and an anime adaptation began airing in April of this year. The story follows the internet angel who captivated the world and you on the other side of the screen.We see the top streamer with 10 million subscribers, OMG Kawaii Angel-chan, the three-girl streamer unit Karamazov trying to catch up to her, and Kache, a girl working at a concept cafe. In our last episode, we looked at the opening scene from the first episode and picked up expressions for faithful and guaranteed. I also forgot to talk about this in the last episode.The fan from episode 1 in the opening scene is voiced by Sugita Tomokazu, who is my all-time favorite voice actor. Which is crazy because in the anime, Sugita-san's character is my character's fan, but in real life, I'm a huge fan of Sugita-san. So yeah, it was like...Otaku life full circle. I felt like I've come full circle as an otaku and my life has been complete. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, let's go into today's phrase. So today's phrase is できる限り同情を買おうとするから、心象膨大、ちょっとの不幸をめちゃくちゃ大げさに言ったりもするし。So in English, if you're not careful, they'll try to squeeze out as much sympathy as they can.Turning the tiniest bit of bad luck into a huge sob story. So this line is from episode 3 of the anime. After showing the story of how K Angel became who she is today, this is part of a message delivered to her fans during a live MC. Streamers won't hesitate to lie through their teeth, all to mesmerize you with a dream. It's a line that makes fans question what's real and what isn't. Ooh, it's deep. Yeah. Don't believe what I say in AEC as well. You know, my school life stories might be fake as well. But I remember episode 3. It was one of the 過去回 is backstory. It was a backstory episode for K-Angel. So it had a lot of Ame-chan parts. But yeah, because Karamazov doesn't come out in episode 3, I was basically all alone in the booth recording this, and it was so lonely and it was so sad. Looking at K-Angel's past, I remember I had a panic attack after the filming the scene. Yeah, because in the episode she like drop kicks her mom to the floor and starts beating her up. But yeah, like I felt the pain, you know, and like I couldn't take it. So yeah, I remember I had a panic attack and we had to kind of stop the recording a little bit. I know. And so when I was worried before this scene episode came out, because this is the very close to the very last scene of the anime. And this was after I had a panic attack. So my nose was super stuffy. I was like, oh no, I hope people don't realize that my voice sounds like I just cried, because it was, and my voice was stuffy. So I was like, oh my gosh, my voice is going to change. This is terrible. I'm so unprofessional. But yeah, it turned out to be okay. So I'm glad. Woo. And also, Cho teんちゃんor K-Angel was also crying in this scene. So I was like, okay, I mean, I guess it works out. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. But let's break down the vocabs. So 1, squeeze out sympathy. Try to squeeze out as much sympathy as they can. So squeeze out sympathy は直訳すると同情を絞り出す。ですね。同情を絞り出すって面白いですけどね。本当に。はい。まあ単に get sympathy 同情を得るというよりも、できる限り同情を引き出すというニュアンスですね。もうほんと最後の一滴までみたいな、もうみんなにめちゃくちゃかわいそう、これでもかってくらいかわいそうって言われに行くみたいなニュアンスですね。So, let's say, what else can we say? I have to squeeze out the last motivation I have in me. 自分の中にあるもう最後のモチベの一滴をちょっと振り絞らなければいけないみたいな。それぐらい今モチベがないですみたいな感じの時も使えるし、本当そうですね。でも squeeze out sympathy, squeeze out, or you can say they're trying to squeeze out the last dime in me とかだったらもう自分からもお金全部絞り取ろうとしてるみたいなとかも使えます。だから何々をもう絞り出すって時に squeeze out 〇〇で好きな何かを入れてください。Next, turning A into B。A を B に変える。だからこの場合はほんの少しの不運 the tiniest bit of bad luck を大げさな不幸話A huge sob story に変えるとなっています。So, we can also say, I'm turning my mistake into a life lesson. 自分の失敗を人生の勉強に変えるとか、I'm turning this sponge into a beautiful cake. ってぐらいシンプルでも使えますし、あとなんだろう。I'm turning this plushie I'm turning this plushie into cash とかだと、このぬいぐるみを売って現金に変えるとか、そういう I'm turning something into something ですね。はい。turning A into B です。Next, one of my favorite phrases from this line. Sob story. はい。お涙頂戴話、大げさな不幸話ですね。sob は号泣っていう意味があって、単に泣くじゃなくて、単に普通にくすんみたいな感じで泣いてたら、she was crying 普通にcry を使うんですけど、sob はもう本当号泣。She was sobbing ですね。I was sobbing とか、This episode was so sad. I was sobbing、during the recording of the session とかですね。とかなんだろうな。sobbing、他になんか泣く。I was crying、sobbing、crying my eyes out とかも言います。crying my eyes out。もう目が出るほど泣きましたみたいな。もう、大号泣の言い方になります。I was crying my eyes out、I was sobbing、weeping も、大号泣って意味なんですけど、結構声を出しながら泣くみたいなニュアンスがあります。weeping, she was weeping, he was weeping, I wept とかですね。はい。sob story は、it's not a good thing. You almost never use it to explain a good situation or、like an actual tear-jerking story. You would never say, oh, that's such a sob story. It kind of has like a negative intonation to it. 本当間違ってでも、本当にその話泣けますねとか、なんか方、すごい壮絶な過去があっても、泣ける話なんですを、she has a sob story とか言わないでください。ちょっとやっぱり、なんか、もう涙ちょうだいな話だったよねとか、ちょっとなんか大げさな、なんか、不幸話あるから聞いてあげてみたいな時のちょっとニュアンスがチクリチクリする感じのニュアンスがあるので、本当に泣ける話の時は sob story じゃなくて tear jerking story って言います。tear jerking はもう本当涙が引っこ抜かれるみたいなもう涙がもう我慢してなくてもズーンって抜かれるみたいな that's such a tear jerking story みたいな感じですね。はい。Now let's practice pronouncing this week's phrase.So this week's phrase was できる限り同情を買おうとするから心象膨大ちょっとの不幸をめちゃくちゃ大げさに言ったりもするし So in English, if you're not careful, they'll try to squeeze out as much sympathy as they can, turning the tiniest bit of bad luck into a huge sob story. One more time. If you're not careful,They'll try to squeeze out as much sympathy as they can, turning the tiniest bit of bad luck into a huge sob story. So sympathy. Sympathy は結構シンパシーって、シーって言っちゃう人がいいんですけど、sympathy、線だから線。千と千尋の、線を出せ、みたいな。の時の結構、息の出し方です。線を出せ、sympathy ですね。sympathy なので、シンじゃない。シンパシーって言っちゃうと、奥歯から空気が出てる感じがするんですけど、sympathy は、前歯3本。just use your 3 front teeth. 前歯3本っておかしいですよね。前歯、だって、メイン2本ですからね。ちょっと歯、ちょっと、ね、歪んで3本になってる方いるかもなんですが。sympathy. Maybe use、sympathy.Your 2 front teeth, like so, air is coming out of your 2 front teeth, like sympathy. ってぐらい結構ちっちゃい穴から出てます。Next, turning も結構ターニングって言っちゃう方が多くて、ターって、あーって四角く口を開けるんじゃなくて、ですね。なんか、なんだろうな。ちょっとこれもまた平成の話になっちゃうんですけど、アヒル口って海外にもあったんですよ。duck face。いや、結構直訳で duck face って言うんです。アヒル、duck face って言うんですけど、の感じ。turning。そう。はい、アヒル口を作って、turning。で、結構、ベロを、なんか、やりすぎたら、ベロの付け根が筋肉痛になりそうってくらい結構力入れたベロで大丈夫です。turning ですね。So, sympathy and turning. Duck face. Don't forget the duck face. Alright.
アニメイングリッシュクラブ with サリー・アマキ。
And lastly, I guess, okay, anything I want to talk about this series. So this was actually a very I wouldn't say it was a weird audition process, but it wasn't like the other series that I've auditioned for. Usually voice acting auditions, they would have a tape audition where you just send in your voice recording from your home, and then they'll call you into the office if they think that you're good. Like they'll call you into the recording studio, and that's the final stage of the audition. But and they'll usually have lines from the anime or from the animation script. But when I auditioned, it was back in 2023, and they didn't have the story for the anime yet, so they picked some lines out of the manga and the game as well. They had voices for both Ame-chan, or lines for both Ame-chan and K-Angel. I remember because the lines were so heart-wrenching っていうのはもう心をつかまれる、なんだろう、惹かれるじゃなくて、握りつぶされるぐらい苦しいみたいなシーンが結構選ばれていて、yeah, they had a lot of heart-wrenching scenes. So, I know in Needy Girl Overdose, whenever K-Angel reads like hate comments, she starts going berserk, you know, she freaks out, right? But when I first started my life as an idol, I would always mute the haters. I would usually mute the haters on Twitter because I didn't want to see it because it made me feel really sad. But I unmuted all my haters and I went to go read all their comments so that I could get pissed off as much as K-Angel was and all the lines. And also there's this thing in Japan called Nichan, where also there's a lot of haters in Nichan. Yeah. Maybe Gochan now. I don't know why they changed channels, but anyway, I also went to go read all my hate comments there. And I remember 2 nights before the audition, I decided to not sleep so much. I slept for like 1 hour. And then the night before the audition, I didn't sleep at all. So my emotional state was terrible. And they usually give you the script in paper, or in my agency, they give you the script via paper. But when I went into audition, my paper was like, I'm going to show you. If you're not watching this on video, I am crumbling up my paper right now. But yeah, I went into the audition with a super crumpled up paper. Usually that's not very good because that means that it's kind of showing the directors and everybody that you don't take good care of your script and maybe you don't care about the series as much. But to me, I was reading like the script so much because I wanted to voice K-Angel so much. My feelings were like so into it that I like ended up squeezing the paper while I was practicing the read and everything. So I went into the audition with like a super crumpled up paper. And the way they announced me getting the part was kind of like a dokkiri, or like I was punked. Hi. So they said that there was another stage to the audition, and it was like a meeting. They were going to have like a meeting with me. And usually voice acting auditions, you never have like a meeting with the producers. They don't really ask you about your personal life. So I was like, oh my gosh, like what do they want to know about me? But we had like a 1 hour meeting. And apparently during that meeting, my role was already chosen, but they they decided to not tell me about it. And they were like, so how do you feel about K-Angel? Or how do you relate to her, or like don't relate to her? Like what's your personal life like? And I was like telling them all these stories. And then at the very end, they were like, okay, well, Salimaki. And they turned the TV on, and on the TV it said like gokaku, which means I got the part or passed. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And they're like, you got the part. I'm like, what? And a couple weeks later, it was, I think this live stream for the Needy Girl Overdose franchise, like second anniversary. Yeah, so my first job after I got the part was literally like an all ad-lib live stream, which was crazy. 本当台本がなくて、なんで役もらったばっかで、まだアニメの収録もしてないので、なんもないんですかみたいな感じで。はい。But luckily, my group, 7分の22, we had a variety show where we did like real life, variety with real comedians acting as a character for like 7 years. もう7年間、自分のアイドルグループで、そのモーションキャプチャー来てキャラクターとしてアドリブでバラエティを7年ぐらいやってたので、できますって言って、なんかもう、ね、ちょっと、私、日頃、マジとかも言わない結構言葉遣いとかはできるだけこの業界で働いてるのでクリーンにしようと思ってたんですけど、すべてを解禁して、うっせんだよとか言ってました。Yeah, so when I first started this, idol life, you know, you have to talk in like a very formal way and in like a cutesy way. I didn't do that, speaking English, but in the Japanese, Sally Amaki, I would always speak with like formal Japanese, but because K-Angel goes crazy with her phrases, yeah, I let it all go. And I was like, this is so fun. Like I can basically, you know, say everything that I felt about the internet and all these like haters while connecting to K-Angel. And I'm, you know, I'm really thankful to all the creators who allowed me to do that. And yeah. And after I got the part, they were like, oh, you can speak English. Let's make the anime opening like in an English accent. I was like, are you sure? そうなんですよ。なんかthe reasoning behind K-Angel being able to speak in English, there were a lot of people in the comment section being like, hey, K-Angel didn't even graduate middle school. How can she speak perfect English? But Neruda-san is the one who actually told me to speak in perfect English. And his reasoning was because there are so many language versions for the original game. Like there's an English version, there's a Japanese version. So to him and to like the creators, it was pretty natural for K-Angel to be able to speak in English. It wasn't like specifically like she was educated enough to speak in English. It was more like they kind of just changed the language region. So it wasn't her actually like speaking English in Japan. It was like more like she was literally just speaking in her English game version. 伝わりますかね？そうなんですよ。なんかゲームは日本語バージョンも英語バージョンもいろんな言語バージョンがあるので、急に英語を喋り出してもリージョンが変わっただけで、別に超天ちゃんが英語ペラペラなわけじゃなくって、なんか日本人として英語がペラペラなわけじゃなくって、日本語喋ってるときは日本バージョンで、急に英語になるときはリージョンがもうなんか海外コメントとか読んでる時とかだったので、もうリージョンが海外になってるみたいな感じの意味がありましたね。はい。なので、本当難しかった。はい。難しかったっていうか、もうこの先も演じさせていただくと思うんですけれども、大切に演じさせていただきたいと思います。あんまりここでね、ちょっと動画の中で話すことはないので、はい、ちょっと緊張するんですが、はい、皆さんの中の、ね、超天ちゃんはいっぱいいると思いますので、自分が好きな超天ちゃんをね、選んで好きになり続けてくれたら嬉しいなって思います。はい。ということで、Thank you. はい。どのくらいの人が気づいてた？でもだいぶもうオープニングで英語の発音が良すぎるって言われて、プラスなんか英語バージョンも声優を伏せてたんですよ。でもなんか声が似すぎているし、これやってるのって天木サリーしかいないよねってなり、 結構その声優界を知ってる方々はだいぶ気づかれてはいましたね。ただその声優とかあんま興味ないみたいな方々は誰なんだろうみたいな感じにはなってたので、すごい。でもなんか伏せていただいてよかったなって思います。なんか本当何の先入観もない中で作品見ていただけた方がよかったなって思うので、はい。一生にない感覚だったと思います。3年間も身を潜めて、なんか、みんなやっぱグッズとか見せてくるんですよ。知らないふりして。何それとか言って。知らないとか言って。はい。My phone case is also the same as K-Angel as well. 超てんちゃんと同じ。はい。携帯ケースも使ってたり。もう本当に私も大好きなので、これを先も、もう、大切に演じていきたいと思いますので、この先もニディガールオーバードーズの応援よろしくお願いします。That is it for this episode of the Anime English Club. Next episode, we are going to talk about 時をかける少女 or The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. Okay. This is a movie, so you guys should be able to watch it until next episode. Hi. Perfect for summer, by the way. Hey. You can listen to Anime English Club as a podcast and on YouTube, where you can follow along with transcripts and subtitles. You can adjust the speed however you want and listen as many times as you need to get comfortable with English. Listening over and over is really the key to mastering any language. For Japanese and English subtitles, go to youtube.com/@anime-english-club or just search by the title. And the Anime English Club wants to hear from you. Please let us know any anime you'd like us to cover, or for specific lines, please tell us whose line it is and which episode it is from. Or just any general English questions, we want to hear from you. So please email us at aec@1242.com. That is aec@1242.com. You can email me in either Japanese or English. メールは日本語でも英語でも大丈夫です。ということで皆さん、また来週会いましょう。From the Nippon Hoso podcast station, this is the Anime English Club, hosted by me, Sally Amaki. This episode was written by Naoki Nakamura, edited by Nana Yoshimura, directed by Hiroshi Kochi, all from Waltz Inc. Our executive producer is Shiori Tanaka for Nippon Broadcasting System Japan.